Hi, and welcome to our first launch event of 2024. For those of you who I haven't met before, my name is Kaarle Parikka and I'm the head of marketing here at Falcony. We have an exciting agenda for today consisting of 4 sections shown on the screen right now. First, we will introduce a completely new product in our Falcony suite called Falcony Risks. In the second section, we'll go through the new features developed and released in the past 5 to 6 months. In the third section, we'll have a short update about our service and community updates. And in the final section, last but not least, we'll discuss what we have in plans for the future developments as new features and new products. I'd also like to remind you that there's a live chat available for the whole duration of the event. Our colleagues are there for you, so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to bring them to us. Links, further information, and obviously this post-event recording will also be shared with you after the event. But without further ado, welcome once again, Konsta, Arttu. How is it going?
All good, all good. Likewise. I mean, these events are your masterpieces, Kaarle, and take a lot of time. So how about you?
They do take time, but we have a great team working on these events, and I'm just kind of enjoying the ride.
Good, good.
Good. Alrighty, let's get started with risk management. This seems like a topic that naturally links to what we have been working on for years already.
Yeah, especially safety and security management have their own typical ways of assessing risks that Falcony have been used to some degree already.
Exactly, and there's also environmental, quality, and many other industry and function-specific risk assessment templates already used by some customers in Falcony.
True. But before we go into the nuts and bolts of our new risk management solution, how about we put this into a context of the change that actually all of us can see in the world around us?
Let's do it. May I, or do you?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. So we probably say this in every single meeting, speech and occasion possible, but we truly live in a different world.
Are you referring to the shift that everything needs to work instantly and through digital tools?
Yeah, with just a few clicks. And for the younger generations, digital experiences like, let's say, sharing a video in TikTok or in Snapchat, for example, it's almost the primary experience rather than enjoying the moment in the physical world itself. I mean, we can debate if all these shares, clicks and likes are good in general, but let's face it, if mine and Konsta's 90-year-old grandma, Maamo, she's called Maamo, if she prefers to use WhatsApp over phone calls, we have to expect that this shift will impact every single industry, function and workflow in the business world too. And
risk management is not different.
It's not, but still, can you guess what's currently by far the most common way to identify, keep track of and manage risks?
I can, since I have it written down here, Excels and spreadsheets.
Good guess. Excels and spreadsheets it is. And they actually work really well when it comes to listing and assessing risks at one point in time.
But they have their shortcomings, right?
They do. As great as spreadsheets are, there are 3 main problems around the overall risk management effectiveness. 1, managing tasks, measures, controls, all the way to the grassroots level in the organization. It's really difficult with Excels. I mean, you need a lot of back and forth emails. There's typically multiple versions of those Excel sheets and so on. Second, Excels easily get siloed by team, department or function. And 3, there's no historical view on how the risks have changed over time, or at least it requires a lot of work.
And none of these things you mentioned help to involve the necessary parties for risk management like the aforementioned shift requires.
That's right. And what we have seen many times is that organizations actually want risk management to be more and more part of the day-to-day work, which is creating even more pressure for these kinds of on-demand solutions.
Exactly. Which brings us to what we're launching today, Konsta.
Yeah, so today, let's say finally, we are officially launching Falcony Risks. It's a risk management solution that covers all types of risks and opportunities along with beautiful dashboards.
Excellent. As I caught a lot of interesting keywords there, how about we go through them one by one and start with all types of risks. What does that mean, Konsta?
Yeah, like we said, risk management is often done from multiple angles: strategic, operational, financial, safety, quality, legal, compliance, project level, supplier level, and so on. The tricky thing typically is that all these risks live in different systems and silos, Excel sheets, either making it impossible or at least very costly to have an overall view of all risks.
But with Falcony Risks, we're making that possible.
Yeah, Falcony Risks indeed make that possible. So we can either make all the different types of risk assessments follow the same kind of method, for example, 5x5 risk matrix, or we can allow different functions to have their own methods for risk analysis. Whatever the way the customers are using, all risks get fed into a single risk register and dashboards that are very easy to sort and filter.
How does it look in the Falcony application when, let's say, our existing customer wants to use it for risk management? Arttu, this is for you.
Yeah, good question. We have obviously wanted to match the user experience with the involvement needs of the end users, so those who are assessing risks or doing the actions to mitigate the risks. So one can use Falcony on all their devices, of course, to identify risks, both through our pre-made risk assessment checklists or as risk observations, so like reactive observations. Regardless of which source one uses of these two, all risks are fed into the observation listing that's in Falcony.
All right, let's make this even more concrete. Let's say a manager has identified a risk. What about assessing the level of that risk and how to classify it?
Yeah, that's the beauty of how Falcony works. For different ways of classifying and assessing risks, which there are many, we have ready-made workflows that include conditionality and automatically calculated fields. But let's say you identify a strategic risk. Falcony asks you to classify the strategic risk even further and then assess it based on 5x5 risk matrix, for example, all along instructing you how to do it as well. So there's really descriptive help texts and so on.
And what happens after that?
Yeah, the risk then gets assigned and shared based on what the type of the risk is and which part or department of the organization the risk belongs to. What follows is again a ready-made workflow to treat and mitigate the risk with relevant measures and controls that Falcony instructs. And we have also added another section in the follow-up part of Falcony about the residual risk assessment. So that's covered also.
I also noticed, shown on the screen as well, that there are fields for scoring the risks, probabilities and severities. Can you elaborate what those mean?
Yeah, those are the numeric fields, hopefully seen there on the other end of the line as well. These are actually automatically filled in fields, so you don't need to fill those in. It's based on the chosen probability and chosen severity of consequences. But the way you can use these numeric fields is that you can calculate averages, sums, and seeing trends and patterns, for example.
Thanks, Arttu. Konsta, let's go a bit deeper into the risk measures and controls. How are risk-related actions actually managed within Falcony?
Yeah, so first of all, the normal chat-based communication works, of course, and you can see the entire history of comments and changes related to each risk.
I can see that with the different kinds of risks, this can be very, very helpful.
Absolutely. I mean, some risks take a lot of time to manage, So seeing the entire history and keeping relevant people in the loop is really helpful.
But there's more, right?
Yes, there is. So the chat-based communication is, of course, very helpful to keep track of simple changes. But once there starts to be lots of actions with separate assignees related to the risk, then the chat is not optimal for keeping track of those.
Enter the linked observations, right?
Indeed. So with linked observations, you can link multiple actions to a single risk and assign them to separate assignees. Then each assignee will automatically be reminded to handle their own tasks, and the original risk visually shows which of these tasks are done, which of these are open, and which ones are overdue.
And does this work for linking risks to each other as well? Why I'm asking is, what if a risk naturally triggers another risk?
Yes, it does. And by the way, the more you use Falcony risks, the more risks and actions you will naturally have in the platform. And it's the observations card and list view where you can then manage all the risks and actions in a single place with powerful filtering and search options.
Thank you, Konsta. Okay, we've now talked about how Falcony supports identifying, assessing and controlling all types of risks. But hey, what about opportunities? Arttu.
Yeah, especially with strategic risks or the high-level risks of the organization, they are often related to certain opportunities or, for example, goals that the organization is committed to push forward. But assessing opportunities is also related to most of the management system standards. For example, all of the major ISO standards mandate that organization plan and implement actions to address both risks and opportunities.
And how does this work in Falcony?
The simplest way to use it is, again, repeating myself, a ready-made workflow where opportunities and risks are naturally linked together. There's simply a multiple choice field that we call risk or opportunity, where you can select either of them or both of them. If you pick an opportunity, a conditional workflow is automated to describe, assess, and treat that specific opportunity.
So do I get it right that it's pretty much the same as with the risks?
Yeah, kind of like risk and opportunity, they are just two sides of the same coin.
Yin and yang makes sense.
Yeah.
So can our customers also create their own workflows when it comes to opportunities?
They can. I know that SWOT analysis is a common starting point for risk and opportunity analysis. And some even keep track of numeric fields like potential losses, potential gains, opportunity costs in relation to risks and opportunities. Falcony supports all of those and even more.
Great. Thanks, Arttu. Let's then talk a bit about how Falcony can support the planning, management and execution of risk management work. Konsta, will you?
Yeah, so part of the Falcony risk solution comes also the scheduling feature that allows admins to create recurring schedules for different types of risk assessments. For example, safety risk assessments might reoccur every year and are required to be completed for every location. Scheduling will allow the admins to have visibility for upcoming open, missed and completed assessments, plus the assignees get automated reminders to those assessments too.
And this saves a lot of time.
Definitely.
All right. Let's then move on to one of the most interesting parts of Falcony risks offering, being the dashboards. Could you, Arttu, do the honors of explaining how and where these dashboards work?
Yeah, this is great, by the way. Let me first explain why this was actually one of the major reasons why we decided to actually launch a full-on risk management solution. It's not a secret that we have considered a risk management solution for a long time, but we realized a long time ago that a whole product, so to say, for risk management has to include visual representations of the risks in this very common risk matrix format that Konsta has also been mentioning. But then recently, kind of out of the blue, we found a way to develop dashboards in the most used analytics software in the world, Microsoft Power BI it is.
So what we're seeing now here on the screen is an example of a dashboard for risk management, which is visualized and built in Microsoft Power BI.
Yeah, and what's best with this is that it comes as part of the offering, and customers don't need to specifically create anything on the Power BI end themselves.
But they can, if they want to.
Yes, they can. Power BI enables to make changes if they want. So it's not a blanket, it's a ready-made template. They can simply customize further. But even with our ready-made dashboard, all the risks, visualizations, statistics, relevant KPIs can be filtered, and there are really powerful drill-down functionalities to, for example, to the risk matrix reports.
Sounds great. Can you tell us something more about the other two views in the dashboard?
Yeah, one is for the opportunities. So there's a separate opportunity matrix, kind of like the same as for the risks, but a separate dashboard for those. And the other is for the risk assessments. Konsta mentioned the scheduling, and what this enables is to have an overall view of those, like which ones are upcoming, in progress, maybe missed, hopefully not, but then again, which ones are completed.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is already made in a sense that it doesn't matter whatever risk assessment template our customer uses, this dashboard can be always utilized.
Yeah, you can bring your own, use our ready-made ones. Whatever the way, they can simply download the Power BI file from Falcony, open it in Power BI desktop app, and connect it to Falcony database.
Yeah, we're at least making it sound easy.
It is super simple. And what's best with Power BI, by the way, is that it's often a solution that organizations, our customers, and especially their management teams are already familiar with. So with risk management dashboards that we have built, it means that they definitely get used more. It cements it into a habit.
Exactly. Is there something else our guests should know about?
Well, we have always had this idea that when customers introduce Falcony in their organizations, they should be able to easily match the system to their own requirements and make them even better, instead of having to change their processes and systems to fit to the actual software itself. What this means for Falcony risks is that we have services to convert, for example, existing risk registers, risk assessment templates into Falcony. This way, customers can pretty much continue the risk management process that they've had past typically in spreadsheets, but do it in Falcony and have it much better, smoother, and faster. And
here on the screen on the right, I can also see that there's some sort of guide for the Falcony risks. What is it about?
Yeah, there is. That's again really helpful to make the introduction of a new system easier, and helps to instill a common language understanding of the risk management as a process.
Makes sense. Thanks, Arttu. Then one last thing, and this is for Konsta. As risk management links to a lot of departments that might be using different kinds of systems, have we thought about covering the possible different integration needs?
Yes, we have. The basic integrations like SSO, HR system integrations, business intelligence integrations can of course be implemented in Falcony risks just like any other Falcony solution. As said, with risk management, some of the risks might be related to suppliers or projects or products or customers, and in those cases it might be helpful to bring those different entities through an API to Falcony.
Perfect. So, to sum it up, if risk management is a topic you have prioritized, or if you're simply interested to hear more about our new Falcony Risks product, please reach out to us. You can do it right away in the chat. There will be the book a meeting links also provided, or then you can contact us personally after the event. Yeah, this concludes the first segment of today's event. Thank you, Konsta. Thank you, Arttu. Arttu, also, I'll meet you later on. And let's actually introduce a new face to the sofa, or a new face, our customer success manager, Kasper Lönnqvist. Welcome, Kasper.
Oh, thank you.
How are you doing?
Quite well, actually. Just cruising along as business is going so well that our customer success team has now grown to 3 full-time members.
Excellent. We've been calling this new features segment of the launch typically a biannual grilling session. So before we get started, are you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's then look at the new features from the overall platform point of view, and then from the different use case angles such as HSEQ, whistleblowing, tenant portal, and Falcony ideas.
Yeah, and just to be clear, as many of you know, there might be overlap between the different use cases and how our releases help different types of users and customers.
Good point, Konsta. Let's then start with the overall updates and new features in the Falcony platform. First one is something we teased already in our November launch event, being the new email layout. Kasper, your turn.
Yeah, so I think we pushed this already to all our customers in the last 2 quarters, so everybody should be enjoying the benefits by now. But what this means in practice is that the new emails sent from Falcony are cleaner from a UI perspective, and they also provide more information and they have some more customization possibilities.
And what do they mean in practice?
So, for example, you can add a image in the footer of the email, or you could edit the actual title with some limitations.
Really good. Anything you want to add, Konsta?
Yeah, part of the reason why we developed this feature is that it allows us to release further set of email notifications, such as we already released, for example, the scheduled audit reminder emails, and there is also the long-awaited audit completion emails on the development line.
And again, correct me if I'm wrong, those would work the same way as observation emails so that multiple people can be recipients of those notifications.
Yep, exactly.
Good, good. Let's then move on to a couple of new views in Falcony. First one is related to audits and specifically showing the audits in a table format instead of a card view. Konsta, how about this?
Yeah, so there's a new tab in the audit page called Audit Table, and it allows users to view all audits that they have access to in a table format. And why this is so helpful is because it comes with the filtering, sorting, and all the other additional column-based possibilities.
And again, we love examples. Could you give us some?
Yeah, sure. So whereas the audit card view always showed the latest audit as the uppermost one in the list, in the table you can sort by many columns, for example by the score column. And you can also filter by many of the columns by using the filter icon next to the column header there.
That seems powerful. And this column header filtering, is it available for all other data tables as well?
Yes, it is. So for example, the users table, roles table, open links table, questions table.
Really good. Kasper, anything from your side to add to the audit table topic, so to say?
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning the column picker. It makes it possible to select which fields you have in the actual list. So you can look for instance, section level information or question level answers, just audit by audit.
So that kind of enables us to have a way to get the raw data out of multiple audits and view them all at once.
Exactly. And for that very reason, we have that handy export to Excel button up there in the corner as well, so that you can grab your information directly.
True that. All right, moving on. Let's go to the next release, which is the observation table. Am I right if I simplify that this is the same for observations as we just discussed for audits?
That's right, and what's really great about the observations table is that it allows filtering by select and multi-select questions.
And this is something that has been requested a lot.
True.
Yeah, exactly, and In the past, our customers wanted these select and multi-select questions as additional filters for the observation card view, but this is just another way of solving that same problem.
Very nice.
Exactly. Still a lot to cover, so moving on. This one could be introduced by you again, Kasper.
Thank you. So Power BI dashboards. They're already very often used in most cases, and especially in enterprise-sized organizations. But the tricky part is that once you have all this information already available in your Power BI tool, somebody has to build the dashboards to make it into useful information. Now, when it comes to Falcony data, that's no longer an issue. So with our fresh, good-looking new dashboards, all you need to do is simply just download the Power BI template from Falcony, and then open it up in the Power BI desktop solution and connect it to your Falcony database.
Perfect. And as a reminder, what kind of data can be visualized on these dashboards?
So our ready-made dashboards include separate views for audits, observations, and audit observations. And all of them can be drilled down by template, place, reporter, or time.
And are there any costs associated with these?
Yeah, so this requires a database connection, so our so-called BI integration, which has a €150 a month ongoing fee.
All right, so if our customer already has the BI integration, they are entitled to have these dashboards for free.
Exactly.
Excellent. Then we have the audit word report. Kasper, do you want to continue?
Sure. So just like the PDF reports, this is another option to download the report from Falcony. But just to be clear, this is still in the beta testing phase. So the layout is fully mimicked by the PDF layout with not very much customization yet. However, the idea is to provide some more tailoring options there. So please reach out to us if you want to be included in this beta testing group.
Exactly. Please contact us if you're interested, and like said multiple times already, applies to everything that we show here today. Then one more from the platform level, Konsta. Let's have a quick update on integrations, shall we?
Sure, so this time our integrations update is about the transparency of all of our integrations and how they are documented and performing. So in the administration page, which is only visible to admins, there is a new page called Integrations, where admin users can find two separate tabs, one for integrations and one for logs. And under integrations, there are documentations of different customer-specific integrations. And whenever we make any changes to these integrations, we will then update the documentations which are there readily available for our customers.
And how about the logs?
Yeah, so the logs simply show the status of each integration run, whether or not those integration runs were successful, and if they failed, then the reason why they failed.
So it kind of gives more control to our customers to know that the integrations are running and they are running as intended.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That's all for the platform level updates. Let's then go into more specifics, into more detailed different use cases in Falcony, and let's start with HSEQ. What kind of new stuff have we added here, Kasper?
I can take this one. So the first one is basically nothing new, but it's just a reminder. Those are our customers who already have management system standards like ISO for quality, or environment, IT security, or safety. The internal audits, along with the non-conformities and corrective actions, can be documented and managed within Falcony.
And I assume we also have ready-made templates for the aforementioned standards.
Exactly. And with the template editor, it's easy to customize these however you want according to each customer's individual needs. And you can simply just download the template from the template library, remove, add, modify any questions that you need, and just start using it.
Very good. We also have some other new templates related to the HSEQ new use case.
Yeah, so we looked for best practice inspection templates from a bunch of different areas. Here are a few of them. And if the text is too small, I'll just go through them one by one. So the first one is FMEA, which stands for Failure Mode and Effect Analysis. This template includes categorized failures that Falcony users can use as a checklist to identify failure modes. Then each failure can be assessed and a risk priority number is automatically calculated.
Perfect. I know that's quite a common quality management template.
That's right. And then we have the safety-related templates for fall protection or vehicle inspection and so on. And all of these include descriptive help texts and even quick observations for the most common issues in order to save the inspector's time.
Thanks, Kasper. How about the ergonomic assessment, Konsta?
Yeah, that's created to control the risks of musculoskeletal disorders, which is today one of the most common reasons for long-term absences.
And you can also find all of these templates in our template library.
Yeah, and if I may add, we will definitely continue to create and add more of these templates into our template library in the future to increase the value of each of our use cases.
Exactly. Again, just to remind you again, feel free to reach out to us if you have any interest in any of what we go through here today, whether they are individual templates, integrations, dashboards, new feature, or even new products. Okay, moving on, trying to catch with the schedule we have on our hands. Next up are some updates for our Falcony whistleblowing product. And first being the whistleblowing dashboard. Konsta.
Yeah, this is once again Microsoft Power BI dashboard, and the difference to other dashboards that we've created is that this is solely for the whistleblowing use case, meaning that in the dashboard you can, for example, see the whistleblowing cases, the open cases, and statistics about the investigations related to those cases.
So this dashboard is specifically designed for those organizations that have several cases coming in per month and that also require investigation, and they want to kind of monitor the bigger picture.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. You probably know more about the whistleblowing use case than me.
But not as much as Kasper. So Kasper, anything to add?
The other update is related to risk management. With the whistleblowing solution, we have been considering how we could make it a deeper part of the overall ethics and compliance management for our customers. And one way is to manage those risks better upstream.
That's great, as many whistleblowing cases are, in fact, either realized ethic risks or signals of them.
Exactly. And that's why we have separately created an ethics risk assessment template.
I can see that the risk assessment is covered in the Falcony Risks product. How does this work in practice?
Yeah, so it's simply a different workspace or an organization within Falcony, but of course you can use the same user credentials for both workspaces, the whistleblowing and the risk management.
So if some of our whistleblowing customers want to use only the ethics risk assessment without even considering any other risks, is there some kind of discount?
Yeah, indeed there is. And so there is a very low threshold way of starting to use Falcony Risks. And if it works well, then you can expand to other risks, threats, and opportunities.
Excellent. That's all for our whistleblowing updates. As shown on the screen, next up, we have updates for our tenant portal product.
I can take this one.
You can.
All right, so again, a reminder first. Tenant satisfaction surveys are a possible add-on for tenant portals that allow admins to periodically survey tenant experience with ready-made customizable survey templates. But what's new here, however, is that we've now improved this add-on with more templates to better measure tenant satisfaction. So first of all, there's pulse surveys, which are these buttons that tenants can use to give measurable and comparable feedback whenever they want, and they will automatically trigger alerts to the relevant people as well.
And can that be added to an external tablet, for example?
Yes, of course. With the open links feature, that's totally easy to do.
Really good.
And then we have the exit survey template, which is specifically a questionnaire for tenants with leases coming to an end. It helps to systematically get honest feedback from those, and that's often a missed opportunity.
Sounds really good.
And then there's finally a template for complaint process, which systemizes something that's already often happening over email, but with no backtracking or numbers for systemizing it for types or stuff like that.
And how about mystery visits? Are they kind of same as mystery shopping, but in real estate?
Yes, exactly, actually. So how it is used is that asset managers or property managers visit their own or each other's or competitors even buildings and assess the tenant experience as if they were visitors or tenants of that building. And then the audit generates a nice looking PDF report with an overall and section-based score and grades.
Excellent. So then the different buildings, areas, sections and so on can be compared to each other and over time.
Yeah, basic stuff.
Yeah, basic for Falcony.
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right. Then a final update for the tenant portals. This is about info screen integrations. Konsta.
Yeah, these info screens have been getting more and more popular in both commercial and residential real estate. So we have a new integration to get the tenant announcements and newsletters that are sent from Falcony to be automatically shown and added into these info screens. Currently we support this C signage and one for all info screens, but it's possible to use the same method for other info screen providers as well.
And that should again help one step further with announcements actually reaching the building users better.
Exactly. Number one reason for bad tenant experience is from inadequate communication.
True. And that's what we aim to fix with the Falcony tenant portal.
Definitely.
Great. Then one final update for Falcony Ideas, the latest addition to our Falcony suite from last autumn. What do we have on our sleeves for this?
So we have improved how different ideas can be scored and prioritized, and also enhanced the statistics that drive involvement for more ideas.
And can you describe them a bit more?
Sure. So there's a separate observation template called idea assessment that can be linked to the original idea. So named people can assess the relevant ideas from multiple different angles, such as customer value or impact on strategy or cost efficiency. As a result, the idea gets a score that can easily be used to quantify and measure and compare these different ideas together.
And how about the leaderboards?
Right. So this is a pivot table, statistical report where people can be listed in order of idea generation frequency. So many companies use this for incentivizing employees to share more ideas.
So another way of involving more people.
Exactly.
All right. That's all for the second segment today. Next up, we'll actually have the two last segments, so service and community updates and Teasers for Future combined together. Thank you, Kasper. Thank you, Konsta. We'll also have a small chair game here, so see you next time, Konsta. Let's welcome Arttu back. There always needs to be at least one Vesterinen on the other sofa. Yeah, welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Let's dive right into the service and community updates. This will be mainly with me and Kasper, though.
Okay, I'll try to stay quiet and small here.
Okay, Kasper. In the last launch event, we talked about some of the services you and the rest of our excellent customer success team provide to our customer base. As a reminder, would you like to quickly go through them once more?
Sure. So let's start with our outsourced admin service. This is actually delivered together with our world-class support team that can handle almost any types of question that our customers can ask. And anyway, since the Falcony platform has evolved a lot since the early days, we've developed a bunch of new features to allow admin users to handle basic and also some more advanced tasks completely by themselves. But we also know that many of the admin users are so busy that it just doesn't make sense for them to spend their time working on these tasks. So instead of just giving instructions on how to do them, we can also do it for them based on their request.
Makes sense, since it's often the admin's time that is the most valuable.
Exactly. And this is time saved that they can then use to find new use cases for Falcony or stuff like that.
Well said. And how does this work in practice?
So how we basically do this is that we define the users who can make these requests or request these tasks, and then transparently track those requests and invoice based on working hours, either as a monthly fee or literally hour by hour. And this saves numerous hours of the customer's time, since we can often do these tasks way faster.
True, true. Next up, we have the package trainings. Anything you want to add for those?
Right, so these are mainly online trainings that we provide for different purposes, user groups, or functionalities within Falcony. And all of these come with a fixed one-time fee, so it's really easy to just make the purchase.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. What about the sandbox workspaces?
Right, these have become quite popular, actually. And what we mean by sandbox is a testing environment where admins and some other users can try out different Falcony functionalities without affecting the production data at all.
Excellent. Next up on the list, we have a bunch of new services, starting with data migration. What is this one?
So, especially when new customers get onboarded, but also when existing customers try new or start using new use cases within Falcony, a common question is whether they can transfer their existing data from a previous platform into Falcony. And this existing data can be incidents or inspections, risks, any types of data, really.
And since we're speaking about it, I assume it's also possible to do that.
Well, yes, yes, it is. For most of those data migrations, we use a ready-made Excel template where we convert whatever Excel or CSV format the customer uses. And then there are some scenarios where the data migration requires a bit more work than just manual run-through. And for those, we utilize our tech support team to develop a script.
And as our tech support team is quite tech savvy, it's also quite fast to do those.
Yes, that's right.
Perfect. And could you remind us again why it makes sense to transfer existing data to Falcony in the first place?
Right. So, well, two main reasons, really. Firstly, customers can use the old system as old data as a benchmark. for Falcony usage, and Falcony usage tends to grow a lot. And secondly, with Falcony's capabilities, customers are bound to find new insights in this old data as well.
Exactly. Okay, moving on. Next up, we have a screen full of flags and a title called Translator Services. What falls under?
So, as you know, Falcony's vision is to involve everybody. And one of the main obstacles has always been language. And Falcony already comes with support for more than 30 languages, but even if the system has support for these languages, there's still the need to translate these individual checklists, templates, help texts, and so on into whatever language you need it to be. So we can help with that translation work with the help of our translation partners, and push these translations immediately into the right data fields within the system.
Exactly. Then next up we have the customer review meetings.
Yes, so these we have already been carrying out for many years with some customers on an annual basis, some a bit more often than that. And if you haven't had the chance to meet with me yet, or any of my team members, Juho and Aki, we'll provide a link in the chat to book a meeting for a review meeting with us. Now, what we usually do in the review meetings is that we go through recent and upcoming updates. We gather your feedback and goals, whatever training needs you have, and potentially discover new useful ways to use the software. So in the customer success team, we simply strive to empower our customers to get the most out of Falcony.
Exactly. Then next up on the list we have something that I could actually cover, so website updates.
Yeah, allow me to moderate for you.
Alrighty, let's switch seats. First thing first, also related to customer success, we now have a dedicated page for the events on our website. So under resources in the main navigation, head over to events, you'll land on this page. And from here you can see both the past events we've had, the event recordings, they're hosted there, as well as information about our upcoming events. So our next launch event will be in the fall, so soon we'll add information about that to that page as well. Then the next one on the list is the ebooks and guides. So we've created a lot of material for different use cases and functionalities. There's, I guess, 6 ebooks at the moment, but we're constantly expanding the list, so stay tuned.
This helps a lot, especially when trying to find training materials. So what else do we have here?
Well, finally we have a page for integrations. As we've released more and more integrations, the customer base has expanded, and thus there has been a lot of different integration requests being forwarded to us. It only made sense to put together a more in-depth section on our website about the integration. So, and on this page also to showcase actually like how vast capabilities we have to integrate Falcony to all sorts of different systems.
Yeah.
So on this page, besides the information about the individual integrations, you'll also find an FAQ section for frequently asked questions that should cover maybe some of the questions you might have regarding these integrations. And if you have any questions for integrations or requirements for integrations that aren't listed on this page, do not hesitate to contact us. We also do custom integrations and can have more in-depth discussions about them personally.
All right, I think this is enough moderating on my part, so should we let the quiet guy say something too?
Let's do it. Arttu, are you still with us?
100%.
Mentally and physically?
Of course.
Perfect. Then it's time for the future roadmap, saving the best for last.
Let's see.
How about we start with a bit of context on how we, as Falconians, prefer to view Falcony as a whole?
Let's do it. Those of you who are not the first-time listeners in these events have likely seen this matrix image already, but let's remind ourselves of it once more. Whether HSEQ, now risk management, facilities management, or some other use case, typical reporting systems are often actually as enterprise compatible as Falcony, but how we differ a lot is in the level of involvement, where the best comparison is actually WhatsApp. And what it means in practice is that the more employees use the system and the more often, the more units, so to say, go through the platform.
And with these units, they can be seen as observations, audits, utilized user seats, and so on.
Yeah, pretty much anything.
Excellent. Let's also remind how we developed this operational involvement platform. And obviously, operational involvement platform is what we call Falcony. Could you, Arttu, shortly explain the pyramid shown here on the screen?
Yeah, so there's 4 layers. At the top, which is the part how end users actually experience the platform, is what we call involvement companion. This is the reporting, inspection, chat, and task management experience within Falcony. It's hyper simple and doesn't require any instructions.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff happening underneath. Starting with involvement management, that's the second layer there in the pyramid. This is all about the features, functionalities, services we've developed and what customer success is bringing to the table that help managers and admin users to involve more people and more often.
Including, for example, open links that we mentioned before, the template editor, automated reminders, email notifications, scheduling,
Exactly.
The list goes on.
Yeah, list goes on. There's a lot of these. We develop them even more in the future. And beneath that, the third layer is what we call involvement use cases. These are the different functions, areas of operations wherein our customers need to collect data from the field, do inspections, reports, and so on. Today's risk management launch, for example, is all about adding one more use case that's then increasing the value of the overall Falcony experience and the platform.
And how about the bottom layer in the pyramid?
Yeah, involvement data platform. This is something that may not be visible even to the admin users, but it's part of the glue that makes different use cases work so well together in Falcony. It's the data models, the database structures, integrations, APIs, and tools for data migrations, for example.
So the bedrock of Falcony, one could say.
Exactly.
All right, then let's move on to the actual roadmap stuff. Kasper, the first one is the data table for tags.
Yeah, so this is pretty much what we've already done for the other tabs in the admin section, making it easier to both manage and view all kinds of tags and tag categories that make Falcony work so seamlessly with so many different types of organizational structures.
Exactly. Then we have the audit completion emails, a long-awaited and requested update.
Yeah, so like mentioned earlier, the new email layout made it possible to finally push this forward. There are still some kinks to work out there, but before we can release this, but the overall designs are already in place.
Perfect. Next up, we have a completely new page in the admin section called Discover More from Falcony. What is this for?
Right, so a SaaS company like ours that updates the platform on a daily basis needs to continuously improve its communication as well. And that's why we're bringing a new section to the admin tab that lists features, integrations, services, add-ons that the customer is not yet using.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if our customer clicks one of those items?
Right, so there will be a pop-up window that describes the feature in more detail and what the service covers and, if possible, what costs are included.
Excellent. Then to our next big thing, so to say. The title is called Open Link Feedback Loop, but it demands a better explanation. Arttu.
Yes, it does. Let's start by explaining how the open links currently work. So at the moment, customers can of course create open links where they can limit in which places and in which observation categories can then be reported to. But the limitation at the moment is that for open link reporters, there hasn't been an option to stay in the loop and know what happens after the report.
And this will be changed with the update.
Exactly. So when the reporter chooses to leave their email address, they will receive a four-digit code to their email inbox to confirm the report. After that, they will receive email notification about updates, comments, changes to the observation.
Very nice.
Yeah, it is. And along with this change, by the way, we will also bring a new user type called external in the user listing, and the admins will have the possibility to elevate these external users into internal ones with certain roles, for example.
So could you give a few examples of what kind of use cases we have in mind for these new open links?
Yeah, there's numerous. Like this will improve, of course, like almost all open links. But let's start with service requests, for example. They are often shared by almost anyone. Tenants in tenant portals, employees, contractors, even visitors can do service requests. And since we already have two-way integrations with many of the maintenance software providers where these service requests are handled typically, Falcony can operate as the only tool the reporter needs to use. So as kind of like the only front end. While the maintenance workers keep on updating the information to the software they are familiar with, so the maintenance software.
And could you again remind us why this makes so much sense?
Yeah, even though the maintenance software providers or the softwares themselves have been on the market for quite a long time, they still have a long way to go with really high adoption and involvement rates.
Exactly. Then another use case is the work permits. Kasper.
Yeah, so this one is quite often requested by HSEQ managers. Some of these templates, like hot work permits, have been used quite widely already by our customers. But the change now is that we will have ready-made templates for more types of work permits, and the contractors requesting these permits will stay in the loop.
Great. And last kind of obvious use case for the new open links is simply a feedback channel that can even be linked to a website like shown on the screenshot here on the screen. When it comes to feedback, in general, part of the beauty with our open links is that we can even have different open links for different types of feedback. So let's say internal versus external feedback, positive versus negative. All kinds of different open links can be created for those. Anything else we have for the open links?
I think that's all.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that this is moving forward.
Yeah, this is a really nice feature.
I agree. Then we have, of course, a lot of new updated templates being built for existing use cases, such as HSEQ, facility management, and tenant portals, and of course, the newly built Falcony risks. Anything either of you would like to add to these?
I think it's worth mentioning that we really want to spread the best practices to more of our clients and make it as easy as possible for them to test out different use cases, processes, and templates.
I fully agree. Next up, a few new dashboards as well. Where do we stand with these?
Yeah, so these are being planned at the moment, so they are not yet in the development phase, but hopefully soon are. This first one is a new dashboard for the HSEQ use case. For the lack of a better word, we'll call it premium dashboard. What we're after with this one is few of the most common KPIs in relation to safety management that especially management teams like to see and view. So for example, accident frequency, very common, days without accident, and some really interesting leading indicators for safety like reporting rate and adoption rates.
Exactly. And besides the management teams, also sounds like something that would be excellent for information sharing and generally improving the safety culture.
Definitely, definitely.
And the other dashboard, that is for tenant portals.
Yeah, so with tenant portals, how it currently works, just explaining a bit how it currently works in Falcony is that we typically create a Falcony workspace or Falcony organization for each tenant portal. There are exceptions, but that's the most common way. And then there's also the open tenant portal front page that's built with Pelsu platform. So the overall solution combines two different platforms into one solution for the customer. But this dashboard would combine the data of both Falcony and Pelsu, and even if there were multiple workspaces, all the data could go there into a single dashboard. It's very helpful if the property owner or our customer with tenant portal has multiple buildings.
True. And the report could include things like page views, number of announcements, and even stuff like tenant satisfaction surveys.
Yeah, with building by building breakdown or totals.
Excellent. Then let's move on to not one but two super interesting new products and add-ons. This one again going to you, Kasper.
Yeah, thank you. So we're now planning to develop an add-on about assets and registers. Some of you are already familiar with Falcony Data Source API, and this is essentially a next level to it. So instead of bringing this information through API, there would be a user interface to create new registers, define the data fields related to them, and add new rows for each register.
And if I may add, we will also most likely create a bunch of ready-made registers, such as, for example, chemical register, very common in HSEQ use case. That would already include most of the pre-filled information that you then only need to pick which ones are relevant for you.
Sounds really good. Great example with the chemical register. I know for a fact that a lot of our customers are really interested about that.
Yeah.
Okay, and how will these registers then work in relation to the rest of the Falcony platform?
You could turn on specific registers into turn specific registers into observation or audit questions, for example, and then monitor that all assets under a certain register get audited.
And did I get it right that our customers could also have multiple different registers?
Yes, of course.
Excellent. Then another new product to the Falcony family, Arttu.
Thank you. Falcony ESG. ESG being quite a common acronym nowadays. This is something we have been discussing already with some of our customers. And the direction we're planning to take with this solution covers three parts in relation to EU-wide ESRS standards. One, double materiality assessment. That will include the assessment of impacts, risks, and opportunities, along with automated calculations, meaning which topics are material for your organization. Two, there will be ready-made Falcony audit checklists for disclosing and documenting the different narrative requirements in relation to the standards. And three, simply emission and waste reporting.
And when would this Falcony ESG product be ready for launch?
Yeah, we hope to see this in beta, so in like a beta phase before summer already, which means that most likely the launch date is somewhere in the autumn, as with many of the other features mentioned in this segment.
So, if you're interested to be one of the first Falcony ESG beta customers, don't hesitate contacting us. And like I've said numerous times, before today, the same applies to everything that we've shown, and of course everything that we've also had previously. So I know that there's a lot of interesting stuff still being cooked under the hood by our magnificent team, but should we keep some of them secrets until next time?
It's already been quite a long discussion today, so
I think so too.
Enough for today.
Yeah.
Maybe some closing remarks. Arttu.
Well, let's keep it simple. Just remember, it's all about involvement.
There it is. That concludes our event today. Thank you, Kasper.
Thank you.
Thank you, Konsta. Arttu.
One Vesterinen.
One Vesterinen. And thank you all from all of us who joined this event today. The chat will stay open for your discussions and questions, so keep them coming and feel free to ask us anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time.